all of you who are participating in CEO Conclave this afternoon. It gives me a great pleasure to deliver the opening remarks at the first edition of the TN CEO Conclave held today. I'd like to thank Jaya and his team for bringing this first ever initiative for CII Tamil Nadu. Jaya and his team for bringing this first ever initiative for CII Tamil Nadu. I would request more members from CII Tamil Nadu who are not part of the CEO forum to kindly join the CEO forum, and I'm sure that in this new era of COVID-19, when we start this decade of 2020, 2030, I'm sure that we really need to revisit some of our strategies and get some fresh thoughts. And I'm sure that the discussions this afternoon are very intellectually very sound. We have Sadhguru who will be joining us in a few minutes. So I'm sure that we have a lot to think about. And I, once again welcome all of you to the Tamil Nadu CEO Conclave.
I have Dr. Senguttuvan, Executive Director at Kauvery Healthcare, Dr. Velan, Vice President and City Head of OneHub Chennai, who represents the real estate business, Jaya Vaidhyanathan, BCT Digital, who represents the IT sector, Mr. Harish, Lakshmanan, Vice Chairman of the Rane Group, a company which has seen a significant global participation over many years in the most fierce automotive sector, Mr. Milan, Wahi, Managing Director of Lotte, and they'll also be joined by Mr. Tyagarajan. So, ladies and gentlemen, what I would request each of you is, given that we have some constraints of time, each of you have about 5 minutes. What I would request each of you is to talk about what are the big things that people can look for when they start thinking about their next year's plans and moving forward, as well as how do they build in strategic flexibility, as well as some scenarios that they should consider when they start thinking about planning. So no particular order, but a lady first. So therefore, Ms. Vaidhyanathan, if I can request you, and also about 5 minutes of time, if you're able to end within the 5 minutes, like what I spoke with each of you, I can ask a quick follow-on question, which can be interesting to the audience. But otherwise, we'll close and move to the next person. So thank you so much, Mr. Arya, once again. And Ms. Vaidhyanathan, if I can start with you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Sorry to interrupt. Mr. Sridhar Vembu, sir, has also joined the session.
Hi. Hi, and welcome to the panel.
And didn't have that, so thank you so much, Mr. Vembu, and good evening.
And since Mr. Vembu has joined the conversation, maybe I'll direct the conversation to a little bit more on the financial services sector and leave the, maybe the core IT to Mr. Vembu. So we'll do that as well. So let me just give a 5-minute intro onto what's the major thing happening in the financial services sector, and perhaps a fintech or an IT response to some of that, and what are we thinking in terms of the larger indicators. The big black swan events such as COVID, the most affected areas of attention, not affected, but the center of attention becomes the financial sector. And everybody is looking at it in terms of direction, and it's more a proof of the pudding is in eating it, right? So that is something that will affect the macroeconomic factors immediately. So you saw that liquidity was available for the large corporates, but obviously we have in the audience a significant number of MSMEs and SMEs, and liquidity did not reach all of them. So that was an impact. In terms of macroeconomic indicators, you would find that NPAs are on the rise in the sector. That's going to have a tremendous impact in terms of the overall Indian economy. Why Indian economy and why not the world? Because in India, NPAs arise about one, the ability to pay, which is universal, and willingness to pay, which is again, that is much more larger impact in terms of the Indian economy at large. We also see consolidation significantly in the sector. So response to that, what companies are looking at in that sector? Let's start with what we have. There's going to be an overall digital transformation. That is a theme all of us have kind of brought out back and again. But while attention in the financial services sector from a digital perspective was towards user experience, we are seeing aftermath of the COVID a significant impact in terms of digital transformation on the middle and the back office. So one is on the user experience, on the payment side, emergence of fintechs in that area, banks kind of going with open APIs, financial institutions talking about open APIs, and looking at the mega sectoral influence of payments. The trend has been moved away towards mid-office and back-office transformation, which is more fundamental efficiency coming from the sector. It is also proactive focus on risk management and the ability to kind of look at losses before they occur. So that is a tremendous focus of the entire sector, and that's a combination of the financial institution and the tech sector. The other area is more in terms of what does a hunter do when there's winter, which is what everybody has been doing during COVID, which is one is fight for sustenance, but also look at innovation, and innovation is the way you sharpen your spear. And if you're not doing R&D, you're not surviving. So R&D and innovation has been key to survival for pretty much all organizations across. And what does that mean in the financial services tech space? I think in the financial services institutions no longer can work in isolation. They must collaborate with people that bring in innovation, be it fintech providers, be it a whole range of platforms and innovation from within. It has been also a great opportunity for reskilling the workforce to adopt to new norms. So people that focused on ABC before are now doing something different, and that has been a focus area. Hardcore adoption of tech in areas such as AI, blockchain, etc. has increased significantly. Why? Because what a human being was doing before, it's not to replace that, but to look at so many data points that are available now, and how do you synthesize that to get into intelligent decision making. So a tremendous focus on the reliance of technology, which is core technology, to kind of adopt this space. So I would broadly say, I know Easwaran is giving me the signal that my 5 minutes are going to be up. So I think these would be a very important aspect of it. And it's more about staying in place, but continuously innovating. That's a paradigm in the way that we look at post-pandemic. And in the Indian historical or cultural parameter basis, you have the concept of Shashwat and Ashwat. Shashwat is what is constant. Ashwat is the people tree. It is rooted deeply, but at the same time, the leaves are constantly changing. It's more about how do you stay rooted to provide core business value, but at the same time, continuously adapt to kind of keep innovating and staying ahead of the curve. So that would be something that we would focus on.
Thanks. Interesting fact is that you said there's a huge middle office transformation which is happening, which is really then taking out efficiencies into business, and therefore a lot of engine room activities that companies are doing using digital. So thanks, Jaya. Thanks for your inputs. I think very relevant.